So welcome to YPN Talks, speaker series event here at Ben Franklin Place in Ottawa. My name is James Sabrin, and I'd like to thank you all for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I work in corporate finance at the City of Ottawa, and I'm also the executive committee member of the Young Professionals Network. So YPN is committed to reinforcing relationships between young professionals in municipal finance, and we do that through educational and networking events. So that's why we're here today for YPN Talks. And as our tagline suggests, we're here to spread fresh ideas on municipal finance. Now these talks are meant to be short, between 10 to 18 minutes in length. So they're just long enough to be taken seriously, but short enough to hold your attention span. And they're really just meant to draw awareness to the broad field that is municipal finance. So we'll be doing that with touching on topics of leadership, procurement, treasury, a Harvard School business case, and performance management today. So the speakers will present back to back until about 6 o'clock, at which point in time we're going to open up to question and answers. So we're going to all the speakers out here for an open Q&A session. So I'll ask that you hold your questions till the very end. And at which point in time, 6:30, we're going to wrap things up, and then we can head over to the Royal Oak. We'll invite you over to the Royal Oak for some appetizers. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, which is Caleb DenOuden. So Caleb graduated from Redeemer University in 2009 before attaining his CMA designation in 2013. In 2010, he worked as a financial manager at a high school in South Africa before joining the city of Quinte West in 2011 as a financial analyst. Since then, he's risen to the ranks of Deputy Treasurer, Manager of Financial Services, and he is the chair of the YPN this year. And his talk is called The New Generation of Municipal Leaders, Who We Are. So please welcome Caleb DenOuden.
All right. Well, thank you, James. And I want to introduce who we are as the next generation of municipal leaders. More than just who we are, I want to talk a bit about what types of changes we'll be involved in and how we'll change the municipal landscape. And I want to motivate you, the young professionals, to lead these changes. And I forgot my clicker. I'm going to... When you have the... Sorry. No? Oh. All right. So would you like me to start over there? Sure. All right, so I'll start over. Welcome and thanks a lot, James. So I want to introduce who we are as the next generation of municipal leaders. More than just who we are, I want to talk a bit about how and what we were going to do to change the municipal landscape. I want to motivate you, the next generation of municipal leaders, to make these changes. So what is our current situation? So we've heard this time and time again. Right now, almost 50% of our municipal industry, the workers in our industry, are eligible to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. This is the baby boom generation. So they take with them a lot of experience and knowledge. We know that these leaders have taken us through amalgamation. They've instituted regulations like PSAP 3150, ledger of the city's assets. They've instituted the FIR and performance measurement. They've done a lot over the last 20, 30 years to take our municipalities to where they are. We look at the future and we see municipalities that are continuing to change and evolve. So we'll see more regulations from the provincial and federal governments, more or possibly less funding from the provincial and federal governments. And overall, I'll change my mic here. So overall, we're going to be responsible to be more responsible and transparent in the way we allocate our resources. And I'd like to think personally that just as our generations evolve, our industry will evolve with those who lead it. So we used to be, wear ties, now we wear cardigans and backpacks. This is a saying that I believe is true no matter what industry you're in. If you're not growing, you're dying. Basically, if you're not changing and innovating, we will be unable to pay for our infrastructure deficit. Our economies will no longer be places where businesses want to grow, and we will lose out to municipalities and cities in other regions in the world, and will no longer be the best places in the world to live and work. So who are we? Who are we as Generation Y? Right now, we're about 20% of the workforce, and obviously the fastest growing. We are service-oriented, optimistic, and educated. It's expected that 63% of us will have a bachelor's degree. We are collaborative. We're open-minded. We are technology savvy. We're not afraid that the right click on a mouse will somehow crash our computer. We do have our challenges. We have high expectations of our employers and the work we do. We feel entitled to the work we have and what we have. And I think because of the technology we've been exposed to in the last 20 years, sometimes we seem to have short attention spans. Now, these are obviously generalizations. They won't apply to each individual, but they're very indicative of the changes that we'll make in the municipal industry and how we'll go about those changes. So I've only been in the municipal industry for less than 4 years, so I'm by no means an expert. So I did some research, and I found Gord Hume. He came up with a list of about 20 areas where he sees change happening in our industry. And I'm just going to touch on a few of these examples and how I see our generation making those changes. So one of the first changes is revenue generation. So as long as I think we have known taxation, property taxation has been one of our main sources of revenue. 80–90% of our revenue comes through property taxation. We know we have an infrastructure deficit, and we've heard that provincial and federal governments may decrease funding. So it's going to be up to our generation to come up with new revenue sources. Will this be through things like user fees, road tolls, or library fees? Municipality of Toronto, or City of Toronto, sorry, they are allowed to charge a land transfer tax. So will our municipalities, under the Municipal Act, will they be allowed to charge something like the Land Transfer Act, which is a huge source of revenue, or other hybrid sales tax types of revenue? So this is exciting to see what our generation is going to come up with, because really we're going to have to move from 10 cost centers in our municipality and one revenue center of property taxation, and move to more of business centers and make sure we have enough revenue for all our expenses. Another change we'll be seeing is political clout. So Donald Drummond talked about this at the MFOA annual conference earlier this year, and he talked about how he sees the change in the epicenter of politics from the federal and provincial bodies to more of the municipality, especially, like I said, with the infrastructure deficit and the amount we affect residents in their daily lives. He projects that more and more decisions will be made at the municipal level, and I think this is exciting to be a young professional in the municipal industry right now, knowing the changes and effects we can have on our local communities. So attitude toward government. I think apparently there was respect for our industry. As far as I've known, I've only kind of heard public resentment for the types of people in our industry. So they feel that we're overpaid, we're underworked, and we just don't care about our jobs. This is something that our generation is going to have to turn on its head. I think we do care about our jobs. We work hard and we love what we do. And the only way to change public perception is to be open, transparent, and honest with the way we do things. And I'm confident that our generation will lead that change. Technology. So technology is an obvious area where we're going to see change. And I have to give credit to the generation that wasn't born in a world of computers and what they've done over the last 20, 30 years. They've brought our municipalities to a reliance on IT. IT plays an integral role in how we operate. You see emails, phones, ERP systems and software, mapping services. Almost every function uses technology in some way already. What's exciting is to see where we're going to take this. Right now, all the talk is around the Internet of Things. And this is kind of where objects and anything and everything can interact with the technology that we have. One example I'll use that we have right now is fleet management technology, which most municipalities are already using. So this technology attaches to the vehicle, and we can get live data on usage, mileage, location statistics. Using this data, we can be more efficient with our fleet and manage our fleet more effectively. I did some research. I saw this Libellium Smart World. They came up with this futuristic city where objects interact with technology, and we can do things like have either live data on your phone in your car or on the street that shows you how many parking spots are around the corner in that part of the city. You know, street lights that change based on activity or weather conditions. You have monitors in the air or water that can tell you the water or air quality and update you of hazards immediately. Who knows, you may walk into City Hall with your smartwatch. It tells you your taxi rears and the door's locked behind you. Anything is possible, really, and it's really exciting to see what we will do as our generation with technology. There's already technology that's even developed, and we just have to wait until we implement it. One of them you probably heard is self-driving cars. They're already testing these in roadways in California. So how will self-driving cars change the way we build roads? How will it change the way we offer transportation services like busing? Another one that I read about is in Iceland. They already found it's more cost efficient to heat their downtown sidewalks and roadways. There's no more salting, snow plowing, no more slips and falls and lawsuits. There are no more repairs from the cost of frost on the damage that frost does to the roads. When are technologies like these going to start affecting our cities in North America? These are exciting things that I'm excited as Generation Y to be a part of. Public pensions. Some of you already heard, OMERS is talking about restructuring their pension as it's underfunded now. The baby boom generation is heading out the door, and they've left us with an underfunded pension. So our generation is going to have to clean this up. Right now, there's negative public opinion about the pension we receive. We know that life expectancy is likely to have an impact on our pension, and basically a defined benefit pension is coming under scrutiny as well. So these things our generation is going to review, and we'll see a change in the way OMER's pension at least is restructured, and hopefully not leave a underfunded pension for the next generation. Working at City Hall. So this is another thing, and this leads into who we are as Generation Y. We are very entitled, and we have our high expectations, and we're going to see this transform our workplace. So Google and Apple right now are ranked amongst the best employers in the world. Everybody wants to work for them. They have, these utopian environments where you can work from a hammock or outside. You can have naps during the day and eat whenever you want. We're, as municipalities, we'd probably get a lot of flack if we were the first ones to follow them. But we will be seeing changes in our workplace. Will more and more of us work from home? We know that sitting is the new smoking. So are we going to see more stand-up desks, more ergonomic environments, more user-friendly buildings? I found this picture of Apple's new spaceship-looking headquarters they're building in California. At the top is my municipality, City Quinte West, the building. I think they took a page out of our book for their building. And now I'm just hoping we can take a page out of their book on office perks. So another change we'll see is public safety, policing, and fire. As long as I've known, not too many people want to talk about reducing service levels in these areas. It's more about the issue of cost, the rising cost of providing police and fire services. Our generation is going to have to face this. I think there's 2 points. One is arbitration awards are one of the main culprits. There's awards out there that are hitting small municipalities, and they can't afford these costs. And I think our generation will have to look at ways of making sure arbitration awards are fair, especially for small municipalities. I think one of the biggest ways we can really change this, though, is the way we offer these services. They've kind of been offered the same way for so long. But we look at policing. City Quinte West is actually one of the leaders here in the use of CCTV cameras. We've invested in this to prevent and investigate crime. We're continuing to invest every year more and more in cameras in our downtowns and high crime areas. This is a huge way to offset the cost of policing. Using civilians to do low-risk police work or clerical work instead of highly paid officers. I know OPP and other police forces have already started this discussion. And I think these are alternative service delivery is the main way our generation will find a way to control policing and fire costs. Public engagement. So I think this used to be kind of an area where municipalities looked at their municipality and said, this is what they need. Nowadays, more and more municipalities are involving community groups in the decisions they make. And you see more and more voting and surveys out there. We at Quinte West, we're building a new marina, and we just had them the community was able to vote on the naming of the marina. So there's more and more involvement. And what's exciting here, and we heard it from Kate Graham in London earlier this year, she talked about how they create public value in London. And they have some really interesting stuff going on there. So they determine the different demographics in the City of London, and they can determine what demographics use different services at the city, because we don't all use every service of the city, and then they can target the services to those individuals who use those services. One of the examples she used was fire prevention service. So if we can tell what types of demographics are more likely to have fires, we can tell where those demographics live, we can tell the best way of reaching out to them, and we can target that service that way. And it's inspiring to see this and how we as Generation Y take public engagement and community building to the next level. So what makes me excited as a young professional, it's things like this, the YPN talks, we've had several already, and what I've heard is incredible, and the TED Talks too, just about what's going on in our greater world, and to see the progress we're making. I personally have been involved in change in my municipality. I came on 3-4 years ago, and I was an integral part of our changing of our accounting software from an old system to a new system, and I truly believe it's my generation's, my traits as Generation Y as to why I was an integral part. And it's also the reason why I've been pushed to a leadership level so quickly and pushed on other groups. I'm implementing more software now. I'm on the Energy Management Committee, the IT Steering Committee, the Asset Management Committee, the Communications Committee, and I really need to start a committee soon on getting rid of committees. But I've been involved in a lot of this, and I think they put me on these committees because of my traits as Generation Y. So I want to motivate and inspire you, my fellow young professionals, to lead these changes, to use your skills and your traits, be collaborative with the generation, the baby boom generation before they head out the door. Use your technology savvy skills to transform how we operate and function at City Hall, and be optimistic and collaborative with the future. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you leading the municipality of tomorrow.
Is it still on? Great. Thank you, Caleb. That was a really great talk. I think you touched on some really key points. I know at the City of Ottawa, we're facing the same situation as municipalities across Ontario and Canada, is that our management and leadership team is basically walking out the door in the next 5 to 10 years. I think I heard a rumor, or maybe it was an HR report, that there's only going to be a handful of managers in finance right now that are going to be there in 5-10 years, and I think one of them sitting down here and another one sitting up there. So I mean, it's reality. We're going to be faced with taking on this leadership, I guess. So we're going to be living it over the next 5-10 years. So it was interesting. Caleb touched on new user fees as a way to generate revenue. I was at the same MFOA conference, and what Donald Jubbin was saying was, yes, you can levy new user fees, but who wants to be the mayor, who wants to be the council to initiate a new tax? So there's being in a government, there's a lot of a lot of political risk in issuing new user fees. So again, there's no win-win solution, I guess. So.